Hands-free devices, while they free up your hands, really aren't a big help because your mind is typically still on the conversation, not on the road. Central part of the state also on high alert tonight, and here's the reason. The dry, brittle leaves that are covering the ground. Ramsey has an ordinance on the books that prohibits people from feeding wildlife. It was first observed in 1868 when flowers were placed on the graves of Union and Confederate soldiers at Arlington National Cemetery. He's here though, right?
He's here.
Can you just make 2 minutes for us? How come it's been so long? You took $275 from her in May. What's going on? Chunks of concrete fell from the overpass onto the roadway below because take a look at what's going on here. I mean, there are literally chunks of concrete I can pull out that are completely loose. You can see the steel decking is actually starting to buckle and pull apart from the concrete. The same thing is happening on the other side of the bridge as well. It took firefighters a good 3 hours to get a handle on this fire, but by breakfast time they had it mostly put out. Still, at this hour, they are dousing this building with water sporadically, trying to put out any hot spots that might be flaring up. A man in a second-floor apartment woke up early this morning to the smell of smoke, and he opened the door to see heavy black smoke and flames coming from his kitchen. He started screaming to alert other tenants. He then grabbed his 3-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old nephew, helped them out of a window and out onto the fire escape. Meanwhile, this fire was quickly spreading to other apartments. It eventually engulfed the entire building.
I was screaming, saying, "Fire, fire, save us."
Everyone was able to get out of the building safely. A few residents and first responders went to the hospital for smoke inhalation. One person had an ankle injury. Now, officials think this fire again started in the kitchen of that second-floor apartment, but they are still trying to figure out what exactly caused this fire. Meantime, the Red Cross has set up a temporary shelter just around the corner from here for the 43 people permanently displaced by this fire. That's what's happening here in Perth Amboy. I'm Douglas Clark. Send it back to you. This is just the latest headline in a string of bad news for this plant and this town. In December, nearly 200 people were laid off here, and workers were recently reduced to a 32-hour work week. It all means people here are worried about what will happen to the town if the plant shuts its doors for good. Chances are, if you drive around Sand Springs, you'll find someone who knows someone who works at the Jordow Ameristeel mill. After all, it's been a fixture in this town for more than 80 years.
That mill is probably the lifeblood of this community.
Adam Belty has worked here for more than a decade, along with his best friend and older brother, Matt.
We both run a locomotive. I like it. I like working with him. I'm gonna miss that.
Miss it because when this plant closes, their jobs and other local jobs that depend on the plant will go away. The company says the economic downturn has lowered worldwide demand for its steel products.
This was news that we didn't like to hear.
People here, including the mayor of Sand Springs, know if the plant goes away, they're losing more than a business. They're losing a good neighbor.
They've donated money to our football stadium, our girls and boys baseball and softball teams. They've been a great partner in the community.
The mayor is now fighting to keep the mill open, calling on state and federal officials for help.
We're not sitting on the sideline on this one. We're getting out there and getting after it and working with the management of the mill and Jordow Ameristeel to see just what it is that we can do as a community.
But if community support proves no match against the suction of a plummeting economy, these workers, many of whom never went to college, will have to fire up the job search.
What we got going on? Got 5 on a scale.
Until then, the mood on the grounds of the plant is somber, as employees take time to appreciate their fellow workers.
It's like family. I spend just as much time with these guys here as I do with my own family.
But also vow to forge ahead.
I'm not going to hold my head down. I'm going to go out and do something, get a job, and move on.
And Jordow Ameristeel's management team is now working with the United Steelworkers Union to come to an agreement on how and when the layoffs will occur. Right now, there's no set time frame and no word yet of any severance packages that may be offered. Employees will be on the job until further notice. Reporting live in Sand Springs, Douglas Clark, Fox 23 News.
Okay, guys.
For crossing guard Eileen DeSeglia, the safety of her kids is her top priority.
I step out here and I stop the parents coming this way.
And her own safety is just as important. Lately, that's been a concern.
They just go past me so fast. Yeah. You can see the traffic here is not 25.
Wyckoff's crossing guards say a growing number of drivers are not stopping for them.
Unfortunately, I think the world is sometimes too much in a rush, and as a motorist, that can have tragic consequences.
So far, luckily, nobody has been injured, but there have been a few close calls.
And they come flying up, and here's the crossing guard putting his stop sign in, but people are on their cell phone, they're not paying attention, and he's had people slam on their brakes.
Wyckoff police are now cracking down, doing surveillance at high-volume intersections and giving out tickets.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a zero-tolerance policy.
Meantime, Eileen DeSeglio will use her own methods for keeping herself and her kids safe.
Another thing I do is listen. When the cars are coming up this way or that way, you can hear the acceleration. So you wait.
And hope they stop. In Wyckoff, Douglas Clark, News 12, New Jersey.